Good morning. Welcome to Competitive Advantage. I am Colin. Welcome to our new recurring segment. Colin starts the show without Noah and doesn't know where Noah is. I'm making a joke there. The reality is that Noah has a lot going on and he might literally have been pulled away. It will get better for Noah, but that is where we're at right now. So, if only I had the ability to fill a podcast by... Oh, wait, I do have the ability to fill a podcast by myself. So, first of all, I just want to comment that every time I start a podcast, I want to do the Robin Williams Good Morning Vietnam. And I know that that's so long ago that like 15% of our audience is going to know what it is. But Robin Williams made a great movie. And he was the radio guy. And he went, Good Morning Vietnam. And it's very exciting. And everyone really liked it. But I feel like it's never going to work well if I do it on a podcast. So that's what's up with that. What we're going to do today is really exciting for me. I had a really rough few weeks, but it was the sort of time, I think everybody's probably had this. It's the sort of time in your life where things are just going to calm down. You've done the things, right? You've put the blocks in place and things are calming. But, however, you got to get time. It's got to go by. So I played a bunch of Warhammer. And let my brain kind of ADHD hyperfixate on it. That was really helpful because I needed the time-filling distraction, so I'm not just thinking about the things that are going on that are hard. And so I also hadn't played... I'd been making all this content, but I had taken a kind of a gap on actually playing for the sake of time for like a month after my last tournament, 6 weeks after my last tournament. So I was excited to do this, and I dove in. And I played 12 games of 40K in about 9 days. It was really great. And I played a bunch of World Eaters, which is weird. And I have 3 different World Eater lists to go through. So part of today is that I'm going to go through those 3 World Eater lists in fairly good detail. What are the mandatory units? What are the optional things? What does this list do well against? What does it not do well against? And one of the things I'm excited about from that is that I am not someone who echo chambers. I don't watch Art of War. I don't watch any of the real high... I don't listen to Stat Check. It's not because I don't like those guys. I just don't have the attention span for it. I like all those guys, in fact. Everybody that I just mentioned, I like quite a bit. So let me gather my thought for just a moment. Yeah, so I don't really watch that stuff. I look at lists that have gone to tournaments. I talk to my friends. But I really value list designing in kind of my mind. And I like to come up with a... Noah's here, by the way. He'll be here shortly. I like to come up with a way that I want to play the army that isn't influenced by other people. If there's a core mechanic in a thing I'm trying to do, please explain it. That's fine. But I want the chance to make the decisions for myself because I think that one of the core problems 40K has... is that people think that lists are solved to 100%. They think that I have to take this list point for point the exact same way Violence or John Lennon or Tyler, whoever you follow, they think that you have to cover it point for point, right? It has to be exactly the same list. And Noah's here, and I bet he's going to tell us why that's wrong. And if he doesn't, I will. Morning, Noah.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Sorry, my life is absolute chaos, so I'm sorry
I said that we have a new segment. It's Colin starts the show without Noah, not knowing where Noah is.
Sorry.
But I also said that you've got a lot going on, and it's fine. So
getting up children, helping getting up children right before I joined this podcast does create some small complications if that child is unwilling to be alive today.
Yeah. It used to be that my wife would ask me, how many kids went to school this morning? I'd say, 3, we did well today. Or like, 66%, not as good.
We got there, folks. Um, so on the list stuff, that's like the way I play 40K, right?
I
Like
know.
I have never. I think I've probably been limited a little bit in the fact that I have always been very reluctant to play the list. Right, I've always been very reluctant to play the solved list.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of pulled to play the weird list a little bit.
Right.
I think sometimes you hear it derogatorily called snowflaking, right? I got to be a
Yeah.
special snowflake to do the thing. But I think that's
Which,
how
by the way, I
innovation.
just own. Snowflake? Fine.
I think that's like how innovation happens, though, right? Like,
Yeah, it is.
um, I have had some really great success in my tournament stuff by playing a weird thing, by either whether that's some small tech pieces that no one else was trying because the meta got weird and then that supported thing, or that it's a whole different list.
Right.
A couple editions ago, Imperial Knights were pretty much seen as not very good, but there was one build that had a little bit of success. This was like ninth edition, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this option of playing Knights, playing a way that no one else was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to do that.
For the record, the world is large. Someone else was playing it, but no one we were aware of.
No one was winning any games with it.
Yeah, that's fine. There was a time in the past where we claimed ownership of developing a list, and some people in Europe got mad at us. So I'm just saying that someone else was playing it, but Noah's story is still great.
So the reason I don't know, I was only playing it because there was the success, the win percentage of each of the sub factions,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing Raven,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a weekend off of playing Raven, and Raven's weekly, like its success, it's like win percentage dropped from like 72 to 39
because you were the only person playing it.
because I was the only person winning any games playing it.
That's
And
funny.
what it was is like it was just built on the fact that like Raven could advance and shoot. That's all Raven's big thing was. It could advance and shoot. And terrain layouts had moved to such a way where it was with player placed that being able to advance and shoot basically meant there was no way for your opponent to create boxes when you move with a 12-inch move vehicle that advance another d6. You could auto 6 to you go 18 inches, look around a corner, and just shoot somebody from across the table. There was no way for them to hide, so I was like always getting angles all game, and that was just like the thing that made the difference. But if I just like said listen to everybody, I'd be playing Noble Lance, right? I'd be playing the at the time it was like I don't know, like 11 Armiger Imperial Knights list. So I am very much for let's do some weird crap. Which my lists today, when we're talking about, are a little weird.
Yeah,
at least a couple of them.
Yeah, and by the way, good morning, Noah. So let me go. I'll go back. That was all really interesting. I think like our agenda has basically been thrown out at this point. We're just having a great time talking. It seems like. So the point I was trying to get to is that people think they have to net list as I have to play this exactly the same amount. Everything's perfect. The people that are smarter than me that know 40K have created this. It's like for those that played World of Warcraft, it's like I went and got the build from elitist jerks. They've done all the spreadsheets, so I just know what the correct thing is. So here's the problem with that. And there's a number of problems with it. And when I was doing Best in Faction, I didn't understand all these things. This is like new things that I've realized. The first thing is whether or not you win a tournament has just as much to do with how you're paired as it does in what list you're playing. If you make a list that is exactly the same way as the net lister, they may have built for the meta that they're in. They have prepared for the people around them. You don't know that. So who you play, unfortunately, is a big part of winning 40K because a lot of the best lists in the game have hard counters. And if they run into someone who is good enough with that hard counter, they might just lose, even if it's the best player in the room. So, what?
I mean, I'm about to say you kind of said it. I think you did like hit on it a little bit when you were on Bets of Action, as you were talked about. Build for build for the top percentage of players,
Mm-hmm.
and then outplay the rest. I think
Yep.
still stands pretty true.
Yes, and you can outplay a bad matchup, but if we're talking about you want to go win LVO, right? The people that win LVO have pairing luck in addition to lists and in addition to good list and good player.
I guess
That's just the reality of a big giant tournament. That's okay. I'm fine with that. So that is a thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that you what sorry, no, are you trying to get my attention? Okay.
No.
The other thing to keep in mind is that you, as a human being, are not going to play the list exactly the same as John Lennon, Nick Nanavati, whoever you're net listing off of. I'll give you an amazing example. When I play a John Lennon list, which I've done a lot because we're good friends and we have very similar ways of seeing the game. When I play a John Lennon list, I often make a change regarding CP. I don't use a strat that I don't use it the same way he does. The reason why, I can't. I can't sit in the game knowing that I'm going to need 3 CP on turn 4. I don't know how he knows that. So I can't do that. So you have to adjust the lists based on the things that are going to fit your playstyle. So the reason I bring all this up is that I don't like what I'm seeing from net listing in 40K. I think that we should see way more originality at a time where so many of the books are new and not really solved. And I've got great examples of that today. We're going to talk about 3 different World Eater lists. I'm not seeing them, any of the 3 of them, super prevalent. They're out there, but they're not. Right, Noah?
Yeah, Zerker Warband just won an event, and I think Demonkin has won one event.
Yeah, but they're not. It's not like Death Guard where it's just been everywhere, right?
No, and Death Guard is also kind of like sitting around 2 lists.
Yeah, I don't think that World Eaters are solved at all. And so I was really worried to go find out what other people think the World Eaters lists are and then be predispositioned to those things being what needed to be in my list. I took Noah's original list knowing nothing about World Eaters. I changed it quite a bit and then I played the other 2 detachments. So at this point, I mentioned, Noah, this is before you came on. Needing to pass time and not stress out, I have played 12 games of 40K in 9 days.
Okay, awesome.
So part of my vibe for today is I have a lot to share about 40K. Like I am effing hype.
Cool.
I am hype incarnate right now. I have had such a good time.
Incarnate.
I am a hype avatar of chaos.
I was about to say an avatar of hype. Yes.
Yes. So so I'm going to talk about World Eaters and the 10 games I played with World Eaters. And then Noah's going to talk about Emperor's Children and Death Guard. But Noah's also going to talk about things that are not from the Echo Chamber, that are Noah thought up things.
Yes.
Oh, let me say one more thing about that. When you're listening to someone who isn't the whatever best player in the world and doesn't have the solved list, listen for combos and tricks that they like that maybe that other person doesn't value that fit with your playstyle better. That was the other thing I wrote down on my notes that I wanted to mention. So those are all great reasons why I didn't look at what the best lists out there are, and in fact haven't looked at the tournament list from last weekend at all, because I wanted to do this show first and then go look at them. So that's what's going on today. It's going to be a hoot and a half, 150% hoot in this episode. I don't think, Noah, that we need to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, because like the only news is Chaos Knights, right? From the data slate till now.
Can I do a good on? Can I just do my?
What I was just about to say is, can you do under 5 minutes on Chaos Knights? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll do an under 5 minutes Chaos Knights, good, bad, and ugly. And
okay, I'm gonna mute and I'll be back.
Okay. So Chaos Knights. I guess we'll start with the good. The good is there are multiple ways to play it. There are 4 different detachments. It looks like all 4 of them are playable. At least 2 or 3 of them are probably going to be at least okay at a tournament. And at least one of them, I think, probably, we're not sure which one. One will probably win some events. So that's cool. Lots of interesting ways to play. You can play is like the demon-y way where you pack to like Chaos Marines. You can play, hey, look, I think Battle Shock is a relevant mechanic. You can play, oops, I have 6 big knights. You play, oops, I have 12 little knights.
6 big knights?
Yeah, and it's good too. It's like a
6
good
big
list.
knights?
6.
Ugh. Jesus, GW.
So
Sorry.
that's super cool. And then the bad is they all went down to toughness. Like every single knight went down to toughness. The Dominus went down a save. The a bunch of other things changed, right, in a way that looks like it's not that good for players. Though I think in the context of the rules, it's okay. But being toughness 11 rather than 12 isn't great. Then the ugly, I think, lines into what Colin is saying is that when these new codexes are coming out, when there's drastic changes with how the army plays or how the army is meant to interact with the game in general, there's this massive uproar, upheaval that now the army is bad. Mm-hmm. Even before we explore how good the army might be. So that's the ugly right now. You're hearing a lot of stuff about, it's toughness 11, they're unplayable now. Okay. I have played the 6 big knights list once now online, and it like played it myself, and I've talked to other people who have, and that list is amazing. It probably struggles into certain matchups, like Colin was saying. That list is absolutely wild. It's both fun to play and it's incredibly good. And then the other detachments, other variations are probably have more depth, but people are kind of scared of them being good and different. I think we have to embrace the difference. So the ugly is, I guess, whatever the 40K version of like xenophobia is here, right? Like, oh no, it's different and I didn't expect it. It's a very Imperium mindset for sure. But as chaos, we embrace the weird, right? We love the different. The mutations are what make life exciting. So don't listen to that. Or do.
Yeah. I think that, so first of all, I always have to say that knights are stupid and shouldn't be in the game. That's just the thing that I have to say. The models are cool. They don't fit in the rules. They not constantly cause problems. Whenever they're good, it's obnoxious. Whenever they're bad, it's frustrating because knight players don't get to play them. Anywho, I'm excited about the Chaos Knights because there's so many different ways to play it. What GW has done right now is made the meta impossible to solve for a while because everything is new and people are wrong about what the best thing is. And I'm going to give you a fantastic example. The Eldar book came out. The Eldar book is wildly strong with many different options of ways to play Eldar. And everybody landed on Warhost. And then everybody went over to Aspect Host. And then 4 weeks later, everyone went to Ynnari. 4 weeks later. There were multiple tournaments with no Ynnari at the start of the Eldar Codex. We were all wildly wrong about what the most broken thing was. Wildly wrong, because Ynnari was 200% as broken as any of the other detachments. I don't know how we all missed that. The Team USA event that they went to, WTC event that they went to, right after the book came out, they didn't take Ynnari.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. They took Aspect Host. The very first, not the very first tournament, 2 weeks after the Codex, Nick Frame took Aspect Host. I promise. He did not take Ynnari to that event. It might be a different event than you're thinking of.
Okay.
Okay. I literally talked to him extensively about the list, so I don't think I'm wrong, but if I am, I apologize. Maybe I'm thinking of a different tournament than you are. Let's move on.
Okay, sure.
Anyways, the point of the story that Noah's trying to remove is that Ynnari wasn't the thing that people immediately jumped to. It's not the thing that I immediately went to, and you'd think that if anyone knows that all the cheater movement in Ynnari is good, I should have noticed it. So that's the thing I want you all to keep in mind. We don't know what the meta is at all, and we're playing a wild amount of new stuff. The Death Guard Codex is good. The Emperor's Children Codex is good. The World Eaters Codex is good. None of those are bad codexes. Not a single one of them. And that's really effing cool, don't you think, Noah?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah. What's the codex before that? Is that one good too?
Codex before which one?
The three Chaos Codexes we just got. Oh, T-Suns. But T-Suns isn't okay. So
yeah,
the consensus right now. That book is dumb. It doesn't get to be part of the conversation.
The consensus is that book might be a little overpowered.
A little? Okay. I played a good turn and a half against it yesterday. It was really fun.
The meta will adjust.
The meta will adjust. That GW will adjust. So I'm not going to talk about T-Suns yet because when I talk about my games, we'll talk about T-Suns quite a bit. But I am displeased. Um, there was a first turn yesterday where I could not deploy my army in a way where a rubric unit couldn't get to me and destroy at least two things. Wasn't possible. And then he went first and he killed two things that were very significant. And he held me back in my deployment zone. And then on the next turn, he ran another thing in and killed me because everything in the T-Sun's army shoots like crazy and moves 21 inches before doing so. Anywho,
Before we get into how much we hate T-Suns and how cool some of these other lists are,
yeah, I think I'd rather focus on how cool the other lists are, anyways.
okay, can I plug something I'm working on real quick? Would you mind dropping that link I just sent you into chat?
Yes, hold on. Or you go ahead and I'll get the link.
So I've talked to you a little bit about, I've mentioned it before that I have a friend named Ryan. Ryan is super cool. Ryan is one of the reasons I play war games at all. He was a nerdy friend I met very early on in my life, and we stayed very close. He became part of my kind of, small core group of people that I played role-playing games with and tabletop games with. He turned me on to tabletop tactical games like 40K. He's an old mech warrior dude, and I love him very much. He's one of my longest term, truly greatest friends. And he had a crazy situation happen to him where he went through a bunch of life changes, and those resulted in him finding out that he had like the most aggressive form of leukemia you can have. And he started chemotherapy basically the next day. And they gave him an outlook that wasn't very hopeful. And right now I'm in a position where I'm out of work. So I'm doing a lot of things to make ends meet. And I definitely wanted to help support him and his family because he's also out of work and has no insurance, and life is wild. So I have been doing a charity commission where basically I'm painting a really nice, high quality 3D printed Space Wolf army that I had on the shelf that I had never painted. I'm painting it up to a tabletop and a little bit better standard, and then I'm raffling it off at basically $5 a ticket. So how it works is click on the GoFundMe that Colin placed, and if you donate $5 or for every increment of $5, I will enter you into a raffle. So basically click on the link, go donate some money, and then send an email to noahbadome@gmail.com, or if you have me on Discord, message me on Discord with a screenshot showing you donated. I'll enter you into the raffle. And then on this coming Monday, the 16th, I'm going to raffle off a 2,000 plus point army of Space Wolves that I painted with, and in pretty traditional colors, used oil wash, did a bunch of cool stuff to make it really nice. It's 18 Thunderwolf cavalry. It's 25 Wolfen. It's a bunch of characters, all really cool, 8K printed 3D sculpts, 3D printed sculpts. And it's been pretty fun, and it's actually looking really good. I'll be posting progress pictures in a bunch of the different places I'm at. And if you have the time and have a little extra money, please take a moment to donate. The $5 potentially getting you a 2,000 point Space Wolf army is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And there are a few things that we care about more at Best in Tabletop than stuff like that, right? That's been like I made all these podcasts that people compliment me on, but I hear way more often I hear about Charity Hammer.
You and I also got close because of Charity Hammer. We didn't really hang out very much at events, but when we spent a lot of time at Charity Hammer.
Yeah, Charity Hammer's and Charity Hammer's like that. It's funny too, like all of the huge amount of Art of War people that were recruited from Charity Hammer is also funny. Like, person not involved with Art of War people come. Art of War people leave. People from Charity Hammer suddenly part of Art of War. Like, it's been really fun. Okay, so I would like to move on from cancer, unless we're going to talk about T-Suns.
Oh, I want to point out that KR.
No,
apparently,
that was a terrible joke that lightened your friend, and I shouldn't have done it. Let's move on.
Oh, it's great. KR in chat says that he survived, or they survived, a similar situation, crappy situation. So we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, that you're alive is great.
Yeah, being alive lets you play 40K, which is very important.
Yes, yes, it's true. That's just facts. How about this? Do you think the T-Suns are too broke or too strong?
I haven't actually played them enough. I hear people saying they are. So, but
why don't I do like a few minutes on T-Suns, and then we can put it aside and just have fun?
Okay, you should launch in to start that. I'm gonna mute and cam for just a sec, and I'll be right back while you tell us how bad it is.
No, and yes, go ahead. And I'm going to be really careful about that because when new books come out, it's really easy to say that, and it's really um, easy to be in a conversation with a bunch of friends and all get riled up about it. And I try not to do that. I try to be more even-minded than that, but it's not easy. So I played against T-Suns a couple times, and the first few games I played, I didn't think much of them. And then I played against a really, really high-end player yesterday, a very, like one of the best players I know. And I played against his T-Suns, and he's playing the rubric detachment, and he's got a bunch of practice with it. And he explained the combos before the game started, and I deployed against them, and then he still obliterated me. Like, I was playing Eldar, the army I know the most about. I've played a gazillion tournament games with Eldar. I've won like easily over 90% of my Eldar games. Like I know how to defend against things with Eldar. And I made a mistake that allowed him to pick up the 10-man Banshee unit in Autark. Easily the most important unit in my army for the way that I personally play Eldar. I was going to say this earlier, but when you look at lists that are different, I was extremely successful with a Ynnari list that was wildly mostly close combat and Wind Riders. And that wasn't what other people were taking. So, that was really bad. I needed that unit to deal with T-Suns because he was playing the rubric detachment. And what that does is it says, if you do 1 damage, we get an extra armor save. For an Eldar army, our damage is primarily 1 or many. And so I didn't have a lot of 2 damage things to apply and use after I messed up and lost the Banshees. But I lost the Banshees and another unit. So like I lost a bunch of my army on the first turn, and in response, I wasn't able to kill that rubric unit that was standing in front of my army. I killed 4 of the guys. And naturally, the Aspirant Sorcerer can die. Okay, so this is the thing. There's a couple... I lost really bad. Here's 2 things that are not okay, that in the T-Suns army specifically. The first one is the fact that you can, in an army with advance and charge, I'm talking about the rubric detachment right now, because I think I've seen 3 detachments, and it's the one that I'm really unhappy about. In the
rubric
rubric
one?
detachment, what?
The rubric one?
Yeah, it's not okay at all. So the rubric detachment has advance and shoot as a stratagem. Okay? Here's the problem with that. Rubric unit inside a Rhino on the deployment line. Rubric unit gets out 3 inches. Then it moves 6 inches. It's now gone 9. Now it advances. They hope that they rolled well, but they might get a 6, and now it's gone 15. And then they're gonna cast their spell. Now, first of all, at this point, this is the last time I can interact. I can't Overwatch after this if they're not charging. And in this game, I had a reactive mortal wound thing in the movement phase that I couldn't use because they were moving towards me, not in the movement phase, because they cast their psychic power in the shooting phase, and they're so good at casting that they easily get the superpower version, and that unit moves another 6. So that's not a close combat unit. That's a shooting unit that's gone 21 inches that shoots 24 inches. So that's going to get angles. Now, you might think, oh, well, I've never been worried about a rubric unit shooting me before. That's probably going to be fine. Well, there's this Super Saiyan character who's 70 points that goes with the unit, and he basically destroys anything in the game on his own before his unit shoots. And he's 70 points. So, and you might think, Colin, you're overreacting. No, those guys shot me 3 times. I watched the dice be rolled. I understand what they do. It's insane.
This is the guy who once per game can up all of his stuff.
Yeah, he's the Super Saiyan character is how he was described to me.
Yeah, he's the new version of he's the new Chaos Sorcerer he's their new generic sorcerer.
Yeah. He had 2 of them. So that's not okay, first of all. And that's really not okay, because there's about 80% of the armies in the game aren't going to be able to deal with that, and 95% of the players aren't going to be able to deal with that. That is an impossibly challenging thing for someone to throw at you, because those rubrics are also very durable. So that's one thing. One other thing that I'll mention, when you shoot a rubric unit and you kill a model, for 1 CP, that unit can shoot back at you.
Not good.
If their Aspirant Sorcerer dies. But the problem is the units can also resurrect, so the Aspirant Sorcerer can die each turn so that unit can keep shooting at you. And also, just so everybody is aware, all of the T-Sun shooting is cracked and obliterates you immediately. So it was rough. And I don't want to overreact because I did win other games against T-Suns, but the rubric combos of being in your shooting phase, being able to just level a unit that shot at you because of how much shooting T-Suns get is insane. And the 21-inch thing is impossible. At least that's how it felt at the time. I'm sure that next time I play it, I'll do a lot better against it, but the terrain was really rough for it as well. So that's my take on T-Suns. I've looked through their book. I think they're undercosted, especially their characters. I would say that 70-point guy is insanely low costed. Like I don't have a 70-point character in World Eaters. Like there isn't one. So
Yeah,
like that doesn't seem very fair because none of the characters in World Eaters are as good as that guy. So anyways, I'm worried about T-Suns, but totally adjustable. There needs to be. I don't think that you should be able to do the psychic power and advance and shoot. But you know, I don't know how they'll handle that. And then other than that, I think if there's literally just some points issues where some things are entirely too cheap.
so
That's
it's
all.
interesting that it sounds like a lot of your oh my gosh feelings about this are focused on the rubric detachment.
Yep.
Some people think the goat detachment is pretty amazing,
I don't. I mean, I don't know. I've only played it against it once.
but the one that people are really complaining and the one that has done well so far, right in the small amount we've seen it, is Grand Coven, which is basically index detachment. Um, Grand Coven can put out a truly nutty amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons the rubric one is really also a problem is because it is more durable.
It's very durable.
It's very durable. It has some
It's
things
very
that
durable.
augment rubrics and terminators, and I think the volume of shooting is definitely there, right? So the other thing is, did he play with the infiltrating terminators or rubric marines?
Yeah.
That's one of the ones that, like, for me is a little bit problematic. Like, yes, you can play around, you can play about infiltration, but like infiltrating like a Terminator brick or like a 10 man of rubrics or
Yeah, a
something.
Terminator brick that's going to
Terrifying.
move 11 on its next turn before shooting like the heavens have opened up and you're being personally smote. Like
Yeah.
it's bad. So yeah, okay, let's move on from T-Suns because that is not the topic.
Okay,
Okay.
let's talk about lists.
Yes, do you want to go first or should I go first?
Sure. I can go first.
Okay, let me bring the slides up. I'll bring the slides up for you.
What are we alternating, or am I doing all?
I think you should do your list because I could talk for hours on World Eaters at this point. I've played them so much. So why don't we go through your list and then we'll worry from there. Is this the right one?
I didn't put Chaos Knights list in here, but if I can, I'll talk. But if it's okay, I'll talk really briefly about the Chaos Knights lists.
These are the wrong slides. Start talking and I'll go get the slides.
Okay, so since we're slideless, we'll talk about Chaos Knights really quick. There's two builds I'm really excited about for Chaos Knights. So the thing to know about Chaos Knights is they dropped in points significantly, and their army ability became a table that you can roll on that generates different abilities that interact with Battle Shock. Right. So the two lists I'm really excited about are a 5 to 6 Big Knight list in the detachment that says, hey, play lots of Big Knights. That detachment has 6 amazing stratagems, one of which has advance and charge, another one has, I think, fight first. There's the uppy downy one, basically from Imperial Knights, has defected to Chaos Knights. So it's awesome. And then their ability is they can like sticky objectives at OBSEC 5 with a stratagem for free once per battle round for a Big Knight. And then they just move around the table with extra OC, shooting the crap out of you, doing all kinds of cool damage and stuff with way too many Big Knights. So that list I think is really exciting and interesting. There's a lot of shooting. Some people are trying 3 Abominants because they're super cheap now. I'm a fan of Knights that can both shoot and punch, so I like Atropuses. So that list is really cool. And the other one for Chaos Knights I'm really excited about is Infernal. Infernal's detachment ability is I make a battle shock or a leadership test. Whether I pass or fail, I get a token. If I fail, I take mortal wounds. That token then we can use in any following phase, either add 3 inches to movement, add lethal or sustained in the fighting or shoot phase to your attacks, or add a 5-up invul all the time, including melee, with a 6-up field no pain. And then its stratagems interact with that. For that list, it's what I have currently is, and it is 1 to 2 Atropuses, and then 1 to 2 Despoilers alongside to make 3 total big knights, and then 6 to 7 little knights alongside a small amount of nerdlings. And this list seems like so much stuff in a list, and everything has lethal or sustained, and everything is moving, between 13 and 15 inches, and everything has tricks to be survivable in combat and also do more damage. It feels like a lot of tools and a lot of power just like bolted to a good codex, which when it's combined with being able to battle shock your opponents and interact with their ability to hold objectives really well, makes that list, I think, very aggressive and also incredibly damaging to anyone who can't handle it, which I think is super exciting. So that's my Chaos Knights ones, which I don't have slides for. Colin, anything you want to say about Chaos Knights before I move into these 3 I have slides for?
Knights are dumb.
Okay, cool.
No,
Hey,
I shouldn't be that rude, but
T11 Knights aren't as dumb.
At least it doesn't sound like it's going to be as toxic as you might not be able to shoot me battle shot leadership role the army, which I think was really unfun to play against.
No,
it doesn't like there's anything like that.
There's one ability that says, if you're more than 18 inches away from me or battle shocked, you're stealth. I mean, I have stealth.
KR, I'm not allowed to complain about that as much as I'd like to, so I'm gonna politely agree with you, and we're gonna move
on. Okay, cool. Let's talk about EC. So EC is one of those ones that has basically solved lists. At least that's what people's opinion. Now, it just did go up in points. One of the things about EC is that the quote-unquote solved list is Coterie the Conceited. Coterie the Conceited has a very specific army mechanic, right, in their detachment, which is you make a bet for how many units you're going to kill that phase, and then you need to match that bet or exceed it in order to get a set of points, then unlock buffs. At 1, you get reroll 1s to hit. At 3, you get reroll 1s to wound. At 5, you get lethal and sustained. And at 7, you get critical 5s. This is great. This is incredibly powerful. It also has a great suite of stratagems and good enhancements. This is a great detachment. However, people have started to understand how to play against it. You put big stuff for it, things that they can't kill as easily, because the really only thing that can kill big stuff are like getting very lucky with demon princes or putting a whole bunch of things into one thing, which means likelihood of them getting more than a single point over the first battle round is lower. And if you play a little KG, you can keep them off their buffs till very late in the game, which means you can kind of play against an army that's not fully activated. Mm-hmm. And that gives you a much better chance of winning the game against EC. EC is a great army. It's really powerful. It's very good, but it is limited right now in a couple ways. One, it's very elite, very kind of light in units. And the second one is that there is a specific play style that can make it very hard for EC to do well.
Okay.
Now, the other detachments don't have that same problem. So both of these lists I'm going to talk about say, let's not take Coterie. Let's instead take something that gets our abilities all game. So the first one is almost that, is my EC Shagwagons. This is the Rapid Evisceration detachment. So this is vehicles. We like rhinos.
Yeah, baby.
Now, the only problem is once all your rhinos are gone, you don't have a rule. So we have to be careful about our boxes. It has a lot of really powerful abilities, which make it worth taking the rhinos. I might want one more rhino than I have here. But it does have that weakness. I've played this list a couple times, and I played this list 2 RTTs worth of times, and 1 actual RTT in the 3 other games. I lost 1 time, beat everything else. It was super fun. The list does a ton of damage. So we'll talk about it. So 2 Demon Princes, because even though they're not benefited by the detachment at all, they're just too good not to take, unfortunately.
What's the passive for them? Because it's different for every Demon Prince, right?
They are fast. They reduce damage by 1.
Okay. Awesome.
And then they tank shock you.
Awesome. Okay.
And I have two Lord Exultants. One that has Spirit Striker, which means when I get out of a vehicle, I can't be overwatched and I get to reroll charges. And another one's called Accomplished Tactician, which is you pick a transport that's in reserve and it gets to come in as if it is one turn earlier. So either come in on turn one or come in your opponent's deployment zone on turn two, which is pretty good. Combined with that, there's a stratagem for putting two transports back into reserve. It's a pretty strong ability. Actually, sorry. Accomplished Tactician is the other one. Sorry. Accomplished Tactician, I didn't take that one, actually, I realized. Accomplished Tactician is when someone shoots one of your units within 9 inches of you, you get to say, hey, unit, you're within 6 of a rhino. You can jump in that rhino. And so after the unit has been shot at, it gets to jump into a rhino. And there is a stratagem that lets you, when a vehicle is shot, lets you get out of that vehicle wholly within 6 inches of that vehicle. So there's a lot of ways to do crazy movement shenanigans in this list. Then we have Lord Cacophonist and Lucius the Eternal. We have 3 squads of Infractors, 1 squad of Tormentors, 4 Chaos Rhinos, and 3 squads of Noise Marines. So basically what this attachment lets you do is reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound every time you disembark from a vehicle. There are a bunch of ways for you to get back into a vehicle. There are lots of ways to do terrible things to your opponent when you get out of a vehicle. And you can sticky objectives from inside a vehicle, which is great. And you can go back into reserve, so there's movement tricks as well. So we have reactive movement capabilities. We have deployment tricks. We have repositioning on the table abilities. We have high damage output because of reroll 1s to hit and wound. And then obviously we have all the normal speed and capability of EC matched with that. So that's one of the reasons. That's why I think this list it might not be as good as Coterie because of whatever reasons, and it has the weakness of the Rhinos, but I think this list is incredibly powerful. Played by a good player, can do very well.
What about a Land Raider in this list?
A Land Raider, I think if you're going to play the Land Raider version, you have to not take the Demon Princes.
I was going to say, we only need to take 1 less Demon Prince, right? And then you turn 1 Rhino into the Land Raider and you have 60 points left to put somewhere else.
Yeah. You would probably put another enhancement. You probably put another enhancement on something.
Yeah. So the reason I mentioned that, guys, is that Land Raiders provide a very different challenge than Chaos Rhinos. And so if you get your Land Raider to a weird place, it can be really difficult for someone to move. Now, we are in a meta of Fire Dragons, but in general, you can really get them moved. And the Chaos, I presume you have the same Chaos Land Raider World Eaters do?
Not the rapid fire, but just.
Oh, okay. Well, the World Eaters Land Raider is real mad at the world. So
no, that's a distinctly World Eaters thing.
Okay, it's crazy. All right.
So what's cool about this too is there's a 1 CP stratagem for assault ramp on a Rhino, and if you do the Land Raider, you can also take that Land Raider, put it in reserve, bring it back, or have that Land Raider come in 1 turn early. So that Land Raider could arrive in your opponent's deployment zone on turn 2, or just off of the table edge on turn 1. So super cool.
So you have a Land Raider that you can uppy downy. Is basically what's happening. Which I think well, maybe not. The strat might say dedicated transport.
I think it just says transport. I think it's two dedicated transports or 1 regular transport.
Oh, okay. Because we're going to talk about the dudes in boats detachment for World Eaters, and a bunch of the stuff doesn't work with the Land Raider.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Let's do it. Is the next one also about shagging? Is that the theme for today? Oh, it's not. Okay.
No. Kind of. 2 princes, 1 tyrant. So, again, this is a detachment. This is the Peerless Blades detachment. So, this detachment says whenever you charge, you get sustained or lethal. You get to pick each time you charge with a unit, which is cool because you don't have to do anything special other than to charge to get your army roll. You don't have to have killed a certain number of things or whatever. So this bypasses some of the playstyle counters that people use. Now, one thing that is really cool about Chaos Knights is they all went down an excessive amount of points. The digital points that were provided and that were talked about are good. They all went down a lot. And the Knight Tyrant is only 395 points in the digital points that we've seen. That's under 400 points. That is the big Castellan double gun, one gun that is flat, that is D6 plus damage, plus 8 damage, a million inch range gun. And 3 up armor with 28 wounds and T12 for 395 points. That's great. I think that's good. One of the things that EC has a problem with is busting up transports and killing vehicles. I don't know if the Night Tyrant is the best choice versus like there's also you could do double thermal for the 335 point Night Despoiler, or you could do any of the other knights. But Night Tyrant is, I think, a good expression of, hey, knights are super cheap and they have guns. And so how this list basically plays is, first off, everything that can take a sword does take a sword. So this is the list where your Noise Marines don't take the extra gun. Your Sergeant takes the sword. Your Cacophonist also takes a sword rather than double pistol. Everybody, Tormentors and Fractors all have a sword. Obviously, all the characters who normally have swords also have swords, because every single one of your units gets lethal or sustained when they charge. And almost all of your stratagems are, hey, I'm better at killing you, or I'm better at doing things in melee. So it's highly incentivizing all of your units to get to melee as much as possible. So you want your Noise Marines shooting things and then charging things. You want your Cacophonist to be part of that shooting things and then using his 6 attacks being a sword rather than just his punchy fists or hitting you with his pistols. I think that's a super fun way to play EC. I think Big Knight, threatening transports, lots of things coming around and kicking the crap out of you, and not having to worry about how many things they killed, so they don't have to make weird, super aggressive plays. They can play the whole game at the pace they want. That's a really fun way to play EC. So I think the list is pretty good. Obviously, we still have 2 Demon Princes in the list because whatever. The enhancements in this detachment, though, are amazing. The 2 I opted for are Blinding Speed and Distortion. Blinding Speed is just fights first on a Demon Prince. Hi, I'm a Demon Prince, and I fight first. So when I heroic and I do my mortal wounds to you, I also get to punch you first. It's very, very good. And then Distortion is, hey, I'm a Demon Prince with +1 attack and +1 damage to my melee weapon, which makes for damage 4. Which makes for damage 4 strikes, which is pretty wild. Yeah. And it also makes for damage 2 sweeps, which is very, very
good. For that one.
They're both 25 points because Demon Princes are 200 points even now, and both the enhancements are 25 points.
Okay. This list sounds like the most aggressive one.
Yeah.
Okay. The most like I'm gonna run at you and blow you off the table. Okay.
The other thing that the Tyrant does, it has a native 12-inch screen out for Deep Strike. So it also lets you anchor the back of the table while you move forward.
Oh, neat. I really like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving to green.
And I figure we talk about Death Guard because Death Guard is everywhere. This is very close to the standard list that people are playing, but this list can go into either champions with as it is right now, or with very slight modifications into Mortarian's Hammer as well, or Virulent Victorum, which is those 3 champions, Virulent Victorum and Hammer, are the 3 that we're seeing doing incredibly well. This is pretty much the stock list. And the reason I put this on here is because I wanted to talk about there's a small difference. And I wanted to talk about that, is that this is running Blightlord Terminators. And most of the lists are not running Blightlord Terminators, they're running more Poxwalkers, whatever. The thing about Death Guard right now is almost everything in that book is really good. There's very little. The internal balance is kind of wild because basically everything is good. There's very few things in the list that in the book that are just like, don't take it. We've seen people lean towards Death Shroud and more trash and take the Demon Prince. I opted to not take the Demon Prince and instead take Typhus and lean into taking a squad of Blightlord Terminators who have a bunch of guns. They're a very shooty unit. They can still punch. When they're matched with one of the characters, they get reroll all wounds with their ranged weapons, which is nuts when you're on a shooty Terminator unit that can also punch very well. So basically what this is each one of the characters attaches it, other than maybe Typhus, or you can put Typhus with someone and have someone else be alone. One of the Terminator characters walks on his own. whatever, for whatever reason you want, whether that's a deep strike threat or just off doing something to hold objective, whatever it is. The other 3 attach into the 3 squads of Terminators. And then you put your scary squad of Plague Marines in a Rhino. That Plague Marine unit, and almost every one of the detachments can kill anything in the game. That's kind of unfortunate, but that is true. And then you pressure your opponent with Terminators and threading the Terminator drops while your boat drones skirt around the edges, shooting the crap out of things, and your Plague Marines hang out in a Rhino and say, please come to my side of the table. I would like to do all the worst things to you. And then you end up playing around them all game, giving them a bunch of space. So you end up playing around all these different threats and just giving up the board. Meanwhile, they score all their points and kind of laugh at you, and they're like, I have typhoid, gurgly, blood-covered laugh, So this is like kind of the list, and no matter how you can put this list in almost any detachment, and you can put this list, and you can change any number of these units for other units as long as you don't change the bloat drones or the Plague Marines, and you basically still have a list that can win a GT, and that, in my opinion, is a problem.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I played against. I've played one game against New Death Guard. I'm playing another one against one of the top players in Canada today or tomorrow. I honestly don't remember.
You know who it is?
What's that?
You know what his name is?
I do know what his name is, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be like, I'm playing blah blah blah. I don't know if I'm supposed to name drop constantly. So I'm playing my buddy Stu, who went on our 8s team. He's one of the top ELO players in Canada. We've only played once before, and it was Chaos Knights into Yannari because we needed to see what happens. It was not a fun experience. So we're gonna play. I'm either gonna play. Well, I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna play yet. That should happen later. But he's gonna play Death Guard, and it's not Mortarian's Hammer, which I'm excited about. The reason I said that is the only game I've played is against our friend Josh, who is the most I want big things at Unga Bunga player in our immediate meta. And naturally, Josh is playing Mortarian's Hammer. And so he's brought his toys, and they're out on the table. And I know that it's Josh, and Josh listens. So we love you, Josh. You're one of the best people ever, right? Like, it's great. Josh comes up to the table, and it's only vehicles. There's nothing to play the mission. So Chuck and I help him get more things to play the mission. Chuck actually helps him. I'm just there. And we make a Mortarians. We make it a little bit more, mission-y. And we play a game. And here's the thing that bums me out about Mortarian's Hammer. When we play, we always walk through all 6 stratagems with our practice opponent, because going through your own stratagems is a really good thing, right? It's a good way to build your memory. So he explained the stratagems, and I said, oh, that's really boring. GW should feel bad about themselves. Because it just is. Oh, we made a detachment where vehicles can go through walls. Yes, you've made 9 of those. But the vehicles can advance and shoot. Yes, those detachments also have that. Like, it's really, really, really dumb. But it was fun to see the, what's the guy with the saw blades? He's the lawnmower dude.
Yeah.
I like him. I like a lot of, some of their model Death Shot Terminators are cool looking. Like, there's some cool models getting on the table here. But I would like people to play the ones that have more interesting things going on than I have fast, difficult to kill vehicles that are running at you, because that's never.
Do you think Plague Marines rerolling all hits and all wounds with critical and lethal 5s is interesting?
Interesting? No. So, okay. Do you have anything else you want to say about your chunky boys?
Just that. Well, I think Death Guard is a really attractive army, like on the table, and I want to see Death Guard be playable. I think this is a good example that they're just incredibly overtuned at the moment.
It seems like in the new books, in particular T-Sons and Death Guard, they just did the points wrong. It's a big part of what's wrong, it seems like. There are rules of interactions that aren't okay as well, but it really seems like people just have too much stuff.
So I'm of the opinion that critical 5s should not exist in the game.
Fair.
4 Upfield No Pains for anything other than mortals should not exist in the game. You should never have rerolls when you also have critical 5s.
Okay.
If you're going to have critical 5s be in the game. I also don't think rerolls should be on Overwatch, right? I think giving critical 5s to a unit that can reroll all hits and all wounds, that already has strong damage output, and your opponent's reducing toughness, is a lot. And there's a bunch of armies that have come out that have been able to get access to critical 5s. And it's always been powerful. Every critical fives ability that has existed that combos with either lethal or sustained or devs has been amazing. Every single one of them. I mean, the Bolt Storm one from
Mm-hmm.
right, they've always been good. They're always good.
Yeah, because it cracks the math right wide open.
And then when you put them in something that is also undercosted, that is also very, I think you have a less likelihood to accidentally print a codex that is just going to like destroy everybody if you avoid a couple of those things I just said.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you might be listening to this and thinking, wow, these guys have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with these armies, and I'd like to talk to them. Or you might be thinking, these slides have the army list on it. Where are the slides at? And in order to answer your questions, we must listen to our sponsor. Hi, I really hope you're enjoying our content. For 20 years, I pushed through an exciting career in enterprise software sales. While I had quite a bit of success and fun, I watched as my interest and drive slowly fell away. Since I was 8 years old, I've wanted to entertain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep creating and tweaking 40K web shows until I land on the combination that the community just can't get enough of. It's an exciting journey and I'm sincerely having the best time. But I can't do it alone. Would you like to help make my journey easier? Well, there's several ways to do that. First of all, I know that you're told all day long to like and subscribe. That's because it really does help. Please do the thing. Next, you can sign up for our Patreon. We have several levels that might work for you. First, just simple Discord access. For nearly a decade, we've run one of the most positive and helpful spaces in all of 40K. Come find out for yourself. That tier also gets our help finding TTS opponents and can join in on our 2 or more private stream games every week that we do only for our patrons. Up a tier, you'll get all our past recordings of our private stream games. You'll have access to the memes, graphics, and presentations we use on our shows. We have a fantasy football league. We have other leagues. We have a weekly TTS drawing to pair you up with your favorite content producer for a game. And you know what else? If you're all in on this journey and you want to do whatever you can, there's a tier for that as well. Thank you and enjoy the show. Ooh, that sponsor is one good talking dude. Yes, today's sponsor is me. What's wrong with that? Beginner Dude would like to know what clicked for you when you became good at the game. For me, I had a lot of success immediately and I didn't understand it. And it was just because where we were at the beginning of 8th edition, guard was mathematically superior in the shooting phase. And so I just understood math and I shot things based on anti-tank things shoot tanks and anti-infantry things shoot infantry. And I won a big tournament. That was not my experience after that tournament. The game became more complicated and I didn't keep up. And I struggled, by my standards, I struggled for a while. And what happened is I army jumped. And then eventually I got to an army that just was powerful enough for me to really feel like I had the great thing, and also had a ton of intellect going on and lots to think about, and there was a lot of skill expression that I could learn. And when that started, I gained this kind of swagger about 40K, and it wasn't cocky, it was cockiness, but I fixed that. The swagger about 40K is like, you get to a point where you go up to a table to play 40K and you think it's going to be a great game, I might win. Doesn't matter who I'm playing, doesn't matter what I'm playing against, we're going to have a great time and I could win. That's, to me, I think that's where everyone should get to. A lot of people still go up to the table and say things like, oh, well, you're going to wreck me. Nah, don't do that. That's not good for yourself. Anyways, that's me. How about you, Noah?
It's funny because I'm like exactly on the opposite side of the pie from you. I walk up to the table always and go, "It's gonna have a great game getting wrecked by you. Let's have a good one." Right? Like that's how I always think. And I think that's because for me, my journey into 40K was a little different. I started and basically went on a like almost 40 game losing streak. Didn't win any games. Just got my butt handed to me. I won 2 games. That's at an RTT. And then I ran into John Kotz, who's a great player in meta. He kicked the crap out of me. And then I lost the next 40-ish games. And I kept playing everything that everyone else told me to play. Mm-hmm. And as I was doing that, I was learning the mechanics of the game. There's a lot of the things that make you good at 40K are not, I know the rules of 40K. I know all the minutia and how it interacts with the actual like physics of the game in context of my army and what I'm doing, right? So things like controlling movement in the combat phase. Things like knowing how to sequence all of your stuff correctly, knowing how to look at, if I do this, my opponent does this, and I do this, and I do this, and what that causation is, right? I'm a person that it takes a lot to bang that into my head, to like beat that into my brain. I have a very thick skull. So I was playing all these things that other people wanted me to play, and I was getting all the rules. And then I felt like I had a pretty strong control of the rules, but I just kept losing. So I was like, you know what? If I'm going to lose, I'm going to play something that I enjoy playing. So I started experimenting. And after a while, I found, because of my own personal limitations of my brain or whatever it happens to be, there's certain play styles that are good for me and certain that aren't. If you're one of these people who's amazing at 40K, no matter what you do, play style is kind of not a real thing. You just play the best thing. But for me, because I have limitations, I have to play something that works the way my brain plays. And I found that niche. I found that thing that both brought me joy and also let me use my set of skills to my highest effect. And then I started winning games. And then I got that of like, I feel like I can walk up to a game and have a puncher's chance. I always just assume I'm playing from behind because that makes me more engaged to play. But I think for me, it's finding joy in 40K that is independent of winning, that lets you pursue improvement. In my opinion, is what clicked for me to start becoming actually good at the game.
Yeah. I'm going to tangent just a little bit to one of my biggest pieces of advice that I give, and I want everyone to listen to this because it's a huge deal. If you care about competition and you want to do well at tournaments, before you buy a new army, borrow it from a friend and play half a dozen games with it. I have so many friends that have bought and hobbied up gorgeous armies that they love that do not play the way they want to play 40K. So if you can, now this is not, if you're a hobbyist and you just want the models that look best, I think that's great. I'll come up to the table. I'll ooh and ah over your models with you. We can talk about whatever you'd like. But if you're someone who cares deeply about how you do at tournaments, you should make sure that you're playing a thing that you want to play. GSC is almost never my play style. I'm actually getting ready to sell the GSC army that I have. So like, I'm just going to sell it. Every time it's good, I try to play it and it doesn't work for me. Do I want to grind on it and get better at that GSC? Not particularly. So I'm gonna downsize that army. So just another thought. Okay, so
Rune says, can't believe they turned Death Guard's Primarch into 3 bloat drones and a Lord of Brilliance in a trench coat. That's kind of the thing right now, is they're like just like taking a couple units and stapling them together, and that's the big special unit.
Yeah.
That's all right. Morty's seeing table play a little bit. As long as I like that model, I think he should be on the table. I'll take it out and get it.
I've been playing 40K for over 20 years with a long break. Actually, 30 years with a long break. I have, this is not flexing, this is to make a joke. Space Marines, Astra Militarum, okay? So I have those Imperium bros. And then I have, for the Xenos, I have all the elves, Harlequins, Craftworld Eldar, and Drukari. Sorry, Eldari and Asuryani and Drukari. Ugh, I just want to call them elves. Let's be honest. I didn't want to call them Eldar. They are elves. I have played fantasy games a long time. They're elves. I can see that. They're elves. Anyways. And then I also have Tyranids and GSC. So I have a bunch of armies. And what do I not have any of? Chaos. I had never played a game with chaos of any kind. A lot of the time that 40K has existed, for me, competitively, I have not liked any of their rule sets. They used to say, what if Chaos Marines were Space Marines with more loopholes to jump through? That used to be the difference in the codexes. So I had a problem a few weeks ago where I knew, about a month ago actually, I knew Yunari was going to get nerfed. Like, no one had to tell me. Like, no one had to tell me that. And the other problem I was having is that Yunari has things that it just loses to. And the way Yunari felt to me is, I'm either going to beat someone who doesn't have the tools to deal with the way I play this army, and they may not have a good experience, or I'm going to run into something that I don't know how to handle with Yunari. That wasn't interesting. I wasn't feeling like I was getting better anymore. And I said that without Yunari, I'm not very excited about the other Craftworld Eldar detachments. A topic for another day. So Noah said, play Emperor's Children. That was months ago. And I said, oh, okay, great. Then I couldn't find those rules anywhere. Then we had that conversation again, and we agreed that World Eaters was the thing that I should play. So I have taken a turn to chaos. I believe that chaos is now flowing through me, which is not great news for all the Imperium that I own. Um, but I have had a great time playing World Eaters. So I played 10 games with World Eaters, and then I played 2 games with another detachment from another faction that I had no idea I'd be playing. And I'm going to save that till after we talk about World Eaters, but I have already given a fairly significant clue about what army it is. Okay. People can guess if they'd like. Oh, yes, this is great. This is perfect. This is my buddy Guy. Great point, Noah. I know this is a competitive talk show, but it rings true for all aspects of 40K. I enjoy my games even if I lose because the armies I picked, I vibe with their playstyle. Yeah,
Right.
wonderful.
100%.
Yeah, wonderful. And he does. I don't think that Guy is currently playing meta busting super good lists. He's playing Necrons and Drukhari. Neither of them are in. Necrons are supposedly amazing again. I'm not a Necron expert. He's playing Awakened Dynasty. I wildly don't respect that detachment. I just think it's garbage. So like
Stephen
that's
Ross
not.
has things to say to you.
What's that?
Stephen Ross, one of my good friends who's on my team, has something to say to you. He loves Awakened so much.
That's fine. I'm 7-0 into it in the past 2 months. Like I just don't care. So with multiple different armies, it is asking a very specific question that my armies can answer. That's all. Okay, so I have been playing World Eaters, and I started with the Demonkin list, but I don't want to talk about that list first. So I'm going to talk about what I think are the 3 best detachments. I know Noah agrees, and the first one is Zerks go run fast and smash, or punch. This is the Berserker Warband. My opinion is that this is 80% of what you'll see for World Eaters. You think, Noah? Not this list, but the detachment.
Yeah, Zergo Warband, I think, is pretty prevalent. It's good. It has I think the highest number of units that are just universally good in it, right? All the vehicles are good in it,
Yeah.
as long as the vehicles can punch. Zerkers are good in it. Basically, everything is good in this detachment. It's very generic.
Yeah.
And most of its strats aren't locked to Zerkers. Only a couple of them are. You should have a couple Zerker units to be able to take advantage of that.
Okay, Noah, this is me talking about World Eaters. Like,
you ask me a question, I have answers.
Talk about Emperor's Chosen. This is me talking about World Eaters.
I agree with you.
I think that this is going to be the thing you see the most of because it is very aggressive and it's very straightforward. The detachment rule is +2 strength and an attack on the charge. That is nutty beyond all nuttiness.
It's so good.
It makes everything in the army punch hard. It doesn't matter what it is. It makes vehicles punch silly. It makes jackals, which we're going to talk about, insane. So it is extremely good. Their strat support is great. They have advance and charge, which if you have advance and charge, I'm already affectionate for you. It has 2 different things that are powerful that I think are getting underlooked. That army in particular, having a strat to sticky an objective when you die off of it is a huge deal. Because the army isn't particularly durable in the shooting phase. And then the other thing that people aren't paying attention to is the -1 damage strat in this detachment. I understand that it's 2 CP, but the detachment is literally about keeping Khorne Berserkers alive.
I think people have a lot of
2 damage goes into a Khorne Berserker unit and you make them 1 damage, half as many Khorne Berserkers are dying, right? Like
I think people have hate for that strat because it used to be you could use it on Angron and you cannot.
Oh. Well, Angron's not good enough to be in the list anyways, so poor
agree.
Angron. Okay, so this is a detachment that runs at you really fast. I think before I talk about this list, I'm going to tell you what things are in every list I'm going to show you. First of all, without any hesitation, we must talk about the Forge Fiend. It is the best data sheet in the book. It is silly. So the Forge Fiends for World Eaters are rapid fire, and they reroll. They were rapid fire 1, and they reroll hits at 18 inches. So you end up with a bunch of shots at strength 10 AP 3 damage that at 18 inches just wreck stuff. Their 150 points is undercosted even for their durability. Their T10, I've just played other armies just now. Their T10, 12 wounds, 3 up, 5 up, I think. That's very good for 150 points, even if you're a Space Marine. So those are great. They have a number of attacks, but the attacks have no AP. But when you add more attacks and make them strength 8 with +2 strength, it does matter. The other thing to keep in mind with the Forge Fiends is that I think without exception, they get all the World Eaters traits. When you roll the World Eaters thing, I think all of those affect vehicles. I might be
Everything that
wrong. What?
well, the only thing that doesn't, well, it's they all affect all the units, but some of them have conditions which unit they impact. Like them, devastating wounds is only against infantry.
Yes, yes, which is great news, by the way, because it doesn't need to be against everything. So basically, what my experience with World Eaters has been is that you roll 8 dice, and then the vast majority of the time you get lethal, sustained, or dev with fight on death, or pile in really far. Like, or you get 2 of the punchy ones. But the reality is, you basically always have an aggressive trait turned on, and that goes on the vehicles, that goes on the people, and it just makes a big difference. So, I put 3 Forge Fiends in every list, partially because these are close combat armies by definition. In my opinion, the very best way to play close combat armies is to put very aggressive shooting behind them. So that while people are dealing with the close combat that's in their face, they're getting shot off the board by Wind Riders, by Ballistus Dreadnoughts, by the things that you see in these armies. Okay, cool. So this list has Karn. I think Karn's amazing. Comes back to life. Beats the crap out of things. He's 85 points, which I think is undercosted for him. Demon Prince of Khorne, expensive at 200 points. But I think he beats things up even more than the other Demon Princes, Noah. Isn't he the most violent?
He good at punch.
Yeah. He's really good at punch. The CP mechanic is really helpful in the list. All 3 of the detachments want to use all their stratagems. So I have him in every detachment, but I'll argue why he should come out of the next one. Then this list has the Lord on Juggernaut. I
love that guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. He hits pretty hard. He hits really hard, and he's really durable for 90 points, first of all. The thing about the Lord on Juggernaut is he has 2 abilities. First of all, he makes a unit go 10 inches, and they can go through things. That you think, oh, well, that doesn't matter because he can go with infantry. But he can't go through things without that roll. So he needs that roll to go through things. So you put him with 10 Khorne Berserkers, and you start them on the table, or you rapid ingress them. And this unit in this detachment now goes 10 inches, advances and charges, and goes flying through walls. That is nutty. And then, if that wasn't good enough, his other ability, which might look bad, is incredible. What it says is everybody in the unit can fight anybody within 3 inches that's also in engagement range, whose unit is engagement range with you. So, I'm fighting Noah. I do a multi-charge. One guy goes and touches the unit I want to kill. And then Noah heroic intervenes and locks up all my guys. Everyone who's within 3 inches of someone from that original unit is fighting that original unit. It is not that amazing on Blood Crushers, which we'll talk about later. It's incredible on Khorne Berserkers.
I always love this ability. We have this ability in Green Tide. When I saw this ability in this attachment saw this ability on that character, I literally went like this. They got that ability.
Yeah, it's really, really incredible. So, all right. So Forge Fiends, every list. Lord on Juggernaut could be argued in every list. The other thing that's in every list is Jackals. We'll talk about them in a minute. Actually, in Chaos Spawn, those 3 things are amazing. But I want to move on and get through everything, so we'll talk about them as they come up. Master of Executions, just a cheap dude. You put him with Khorne Berserkers. He lets them re-roll their advance. So if you have advance in charge, like you do in this detachment, he lets you YOLO better. He actually hits pretty hard for 75 points or 60 points. I think he is. I gave him favorite of Khorne here, but I think he's pretty inexpensive. He doesn't hit overly hard, but he does make it so that unit gives you a CP if it kills a character, and I do enjoy that. Okay, this is the Berserker list. It has 3 units of Berserkers. I can't fit 4. People are taking 4 and 5. That might be right. It didn't work for me. I think you have to drop the Demon Prince if you want to go to 4. I think that his CP management's a big deal, and he also kills things that they don't kill. So
the list that just won a big event that is Zerks only runs 2 squads. So
oh wow, okay.
I think 2 is the minimum. 4 is probably excessive.
Yeah, so I have 2 in Rhinos here. Advancing and charging out of Rhinos is insane. And then I have the one with the Lord on Juggernaut, I've been starting on the table and having him YOLO through terrain on the first turn and make some massive pain in the butt for people. Okay, 3 units of Corn Berserkers. Then we've got 2 units of Jackals. Jackals are 65 points and they sticky objectives. Nothing else matters. But they do other things as well. They're 10 wounds for 65 points. That's great. They're a lot of attacks, Noah. I was
They
shocked at how
are.
many attacks they are. They're over 30 attacks for the unit in an army that gets things like sustained and dev wounds. Like, and then in this army, there are even more attacks. They're 4 attacks apiece, and they're strength 5. Like, they are really, really good.
They are.
I keep trying to find more ways to get them in there because this detachment, which we're about to finish talking about the list, this detachment is bad at playing 40k. This detachment is good at killing your opponent. It is bad at playing 40k. It does not have anything that uppy downies. It has no inexpensive deep strike that can come in and play the mission. It's like it's got like all of its deep strike is hundreds and hundreds of points unless you take a character by themselves, which I'm not a big fan of. So you end up with this army, incredibly aggressive army, runs at your opponent, beats the crap out of them. I think that's going to be wildly effective. I don't want to play it. It is boring. And what's wrong?
I have one question.
Okay.
There is not a unit called Goremongers on this list.
Okay.
And I feel like Goremongers should be the third chaos spawn instead of the chaos spawn.
Do you mean Goremongers?
Yes.
Oh, I hate them. I think they're worthless.
I feel like if you're an army that wants to go punch things, you have to have and you have access to an infiltrate unit. You have to because there are armies that could jail you if you don't.
I have not experienced that so far.
Okay.
Because you can't jail an army maybe this list wants Goremongers. The other two don't. Maybe
the other two doesn't matter as much. This one because of the rhinos and you're all on foot going in a line.
Yeah, my problem with Goremongers is that they're more expensive than Chaos Spawn and a significantly worse unit. That's my problem with them.
That is true.
They are absolute garbage other than infiltrating. Anyways, so the rest of this list is Chaos Rhinos, Chaos Spawn, and Forge Fiends. Chaos Spawn at 80 points are probably my favorite thing. They advance in charge, they scout, they have more attacks than every other Chaos Spawn, they beat the crap out of things, and then in this detachment, they're strength 7 with d6 plus, they're normally d6 plus 4 each, so they're d6 plus 5 each in this detachment when they charge. This detachment hits incredibly strong. It is wildly two-dimensional. It does not have anywhere near the jank for me to play. I simply will not play a 40k army that does not have something that can come in and do a mission. Next up. Cars, Zerks with silly tricks. This is their Rhino detachment. I'm not going to talk about this extensively because the list is wildly similar to the list I just told you about. The thing about this detachment is it's got all this fun jank. Someone can shoot your Rhino and your Berserkers can immediately leap out and go 8. And just be like, haha, we have you now. So I think that that's incredible and really fun. You can get back in transports. I think that's really fun. There's a lot of really neat stuff happening in this detachment, but then you look through it. I've got Karn. I've got Masters of Executions. I've got Corn Berserkers. I've got Jackals, Rhinos, Chaos Spawn, and Forge Fiends. That's the same army. And then what I did is I took the Demon Prince out and put a Chaos Land Raider in because a Chaos Land Raider that can go through walls and rapid fires its las cannons is silly.
It's pretty good.
So you put Corn Berserkers in it, and then the Corn Berserkers jump out of it. That's really crazy too. So I think that unit's super cool at 240 points. But other than that, this is the same army. So what I did after playing each of the armies twice, which is how many I played each of them, I sat down and I looked at the rules again. Here's the problem. This army isn't any better at playing the mission. It's a little bit better because you can get back in Rhinos, but it's not significantly better. And when you compare the rules between the two armies, the rules in this detachment are just worse. I'm better when I get out of a transport sucks compared to I have +1 attack and +2 strength on the charge. So I think that there is jank here. I'm not going to take the time to find it because I think that this is just a worse detachment than the Zerg Rush. Personally, that's what I think, is that it's just worse because the rules aren't as good and you're using the same units. Noah?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think probably I think one of the issues here is that you actually probably want more things jumping out of transports, which means it cuts into your Forge Fiends and those kind of things, which you need because of those.
Yep. You could take less Chaos Spawn in this one, but it's the first game I played was with the list Noah gave me, and it had no Chaos Spawn. No fault to Noah, but the book was brand new. Then I said, that's not enough Chaos Spawn, and I added a unit. And then the next game I added another unit, and then the next game I added a third unit, and now I just slap down 3 in every list.
Yeah,
Their
230
ability to
points for a lot of scoring ability is good.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Okay, here's the list that I think is the most fun. It's the Corn Dance Party. So this is the Corn Demonkin detachment that Noah told me to go play, and I played it. I've played it a lot, like 8 games. It is really fun. Really, really fun. It does all types of silly things. For those that don't know, this is a detachment where half of your army is World Eaters and half of it is demons. The frustrating thing is the World Eaters traits only work on World Eaters most of the time, and the demon traits only work on demons. The way the demon traits turn on is as you kill things as an army, you roll a die, and on a 3-up you get a point. And you in your command phase, or if you spend the most important strat in the army, you spend those blood tithe points, and they buy you an upgrade for the entire game. Yay! That's really fun. It really is fun. It's super powering for the whole game. Give your demons lance. Give them a 4-up invul. The best one is give them the World Eaters traits, but that takes 5 points. It's a lot. Okay, so you're powering up your demons, and your World Eaters are getting their World Eaters traits. It's a little bit frustrating because the World Eaters traits end up not applying to that many units, which is a little bit sad because they're really great. But if you work towards it, you can turn it on for the demons, and that ends up being really strong. So the strats in this army, one of them we'll talk about in a minute because it's silly and beyond the pale. But the rest of the strats are really good. Resurrecting demons is good. I talked about too many armies in a row. No,
Uppy Downy.
What's that?
Go back into reserve is really good.
Yep, Uppy Downy's really good. It's got incredible strat support that's just really strong, and then it's got maybe the best strat in the game. So it's got a strat that says, if any unit dies, your unit, my unit, anybody's unit, I can spend 1 CP and bring in a unit of 10 bloodletters within 9 inches of that unit, no other restrictions. They can't come in engagement range. So it doesn't matter how far away I am from you. It doesn't matter what phase it is. So if you kill me, in particular, this is a problem. If you kill me in the fight phase, I appear 9 inches away, and now it's my turn. It's better than any rapid ingress in the world. You can wrap things with them. You can charge them and kill things. They're 20 attacks at strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage? AP 2, 2 damage, I think. AP 1, 2 damage. Like I said, too many armies. But they hit things relatively hard. You give them lance. They stand your Scarbrand. Like, there's ways to make them even better. But a lot of the time, you're going to move block with them. You're going to put them on an objective and be like, oh yeah, I actually got 5 more primary, or I actually have hold more because of that. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with it. A lot of it's not okay. Like, a lot of it's just not okay. I do want to correct what we said on the previous episode. If bloodletters are in reserve, you cannot use the strat on the first turn to bring them in because they're a deep strike unit. However, if you're going second, you could uppy downy a unit and have it come in if you'd like. And I do that, by the way. You can't use the bloodletter strat more than once a battle round. So I start one on the table, and if I go second, I absolutely spend 2 CP to uppy downy it because I put it up, and then because I'm going to kill something in your army in the shooting phase, put 9 bloodletters, 10 letters, bloodletters 10 inches away, and I'm going to charge your home objective and take it. Like, is what's possible if you're not super screened. So this idea that I can just shoot a thing off the board in the shooting phase with the Forge Fiends and bring in bloodletters for the charge phase is nuts. We also said you could bring them in the charge phase and still charge. That's actually not true either. It also doesn't matter because 90% of the time you're bringing things in at the end of your opponent's fight phase. When they can't charge them, they can't shoot them. Unless the army, they don't punch you. So I think this army is incredible. I'll tell you what I took. We have a few minutes left here. Scarbrand, insanely cool. He advances and charges. He is very mad at the world and beats the crap out of things. At 300 points, I can't imagine not taking him. He's very durable. He's the best tank I've ever played with. Like, he's great. I know Noah's all about him. Demon Prince of Corn, he's great in this detachment because he is a World Eater, and you need them. There's strat support where World Eaters give things to demons and demons give things to World Eaters. You need World Eaters. That guy's really durable and can beat the crap out of things, so he's really cool. Lord on Juggernaut, we talked about him already. In this detachment, he's with 6 Blood Crushers. The Blood Crushers do incredible mortals on the charge, and then they beat the crap out of things. They move 10 inches, they can go through walls because of the Lord on Juggernaut. They're so cool, Noah. They are so cool. I was starting them on the table, but I actually am starting them in Deep Strike now. I think either Scarbrand or them has to be on the table, or you're going to get rushed. So one of them has to be on the table, and the other one has to be in Deep Strike. And what I found the most success with is rapid ingressing the Juggernauts on bottom or top three. Like, you have been pummeled and played with my entire army, and now here is the 320 point unit that is going to be ridiculously hard for you to deal with, because the army can resurrect one of them per turn. By that point in the game, there are 3 up, 4 up invul because of the blood tithe points. They are T6. They have 4 wounds. They are simply difficult to deal with, and they have a gazillion attacks that aren't amazing if you have high armor saves. But I've had good luck with them. I haven't had amazing luck with them wiping a hard target when they charge, but I've had really good luck with them then tar pitting that target until it dies. So they're really great. Then I have 3 units of Bloodletters. You could argue 4 or 5. You can use the strat on once per turn. I don't want to keep doing it for 5 turns. I don't think that that's very reasonable. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's too many resources in one trick. 2 units of Jackals, same reason as every other list. 3 units of Chaos Spawn, more important in this list than any of the others, because they can kill things in your opponent's deployment zone and bring Bloodletters in. So I end up in combat with people, and those people have to fall back, because if they don't, they're going to get Bloodletters. So, or your opponent's shooting phase killing, like, it's just, they're very good at going over and being like, hello, I need to die now because I'm a real problem for your army. And then the Bloodletters are like, haha. This army also gets Fleshhounds, which uppy downy for free. You could argue that you need 2 units of them. I'm having a struggle bus with points. But uppy downy, I love having a unit that uppy downy's uppy downy at every turn, play a mission with it, screen with it. This army needs screening really bad behind it because it's so aggressive moving forward. And then finally, the 3 Forge Fiends, which are, I think, the most important in this list, because it's extremely important that you can kill things in shooting, because that brings Bloodletters in before the charge phase. That's huge. Very big deal. Okay. I think this list is great. I think it's incredibly fun. I think it's very powerful. I think the Bloodletter strat is wildly broken. It does a bunch of silly things it shouldn't do. It needs to be adjusted. I am very concerned that it's going to get the triple nerf. The Bloodletter bomb has multiple problems that it's cheating at, so it actually needs multiple adjustments. I am concerned that if that strat gets taken to the shed, I don't know that this detachment survives, and that's really sad. The detachment's really good. It is. I don't believe that it's going to be competitive enough, at least for my taste, without that stratagem being good. So I think that Khorne Zerkers rushing at people is just better if that strat gets nerfed into the ground. No agrees?
I agree. I think this detachment might be hanging on a thread, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think so too. And so I think I'm going to get to go to Tacoma Open. I think it's not for sure, but I'm going to prep like I am. And so I'm deciding this is one of the 2 things that I might take. I am very concerned about prepping this army and having it nuked into the ground between now and then.
What's the other thing, Colin?
What?
What's the other thing you might take?
Eldar.
Oh.
So I talked a bit of trash, and the trash I was talking was misinterpreted as Colin thinks Eldar is bad now. I do not. I think Eldar is good. Their book is great. What I was trying to say is Ynnari was the most competitive thing, and I don't like the level of competitiveness the other detachments have combined with how they're played. That's how I feel.
Sure.
I was wrong. I had not paid attention to Seer Council. People in the comments last week said, why aren't you talking about Seer Council? So I played 2 games of Seer Council. Holy crap, what a drug.
Yeah, that list is cool.
So next week I'll talk about my games of Seer Council, because I didn't want to put Eldar mixed in with the dirty chaos. So we'll talk about Seer Council next week, but it is also ridiculously fun. I am doing things with it that no one else is doing. One of them I'm convinced is cheating, but I can't find the errata that fixes. So very, very neat. I will probably decide between those 2 lists. They play very similarly, actually. Uppy downy, difficult angled deep strike, long range shooting. Like, they have similar things going on. Actually, the Eldar don't really have long range shooting. I don't know why I said that. Okay, so that's our list breakdown, which I thought was great, very fun. So those are the lists I'm going to decide between. What does Noah think that Noah's going to take to the Tacoma Open?
You know, that's actually I'm not sure. So I'm playing Orcs. I mean, I've been playing Tide. I don't think they got that much worse. I do think the meta is shifting in a way that might not be very friendly for Tide. So we'll see. I have testing I need to do.
No, they can't fight any of the World Eaters lists. I don't think. Maybe this one,
Ooh,
but
I
they
don't
can't
agree.
fight. They can't
But
find they can't fight the Berserkers.
I don't agree. But that's a talk for later.
Okay.
So I think
Is it not? Is the 50 attacks not enough?
no.
Okay.
You're winning on threes, 50, and you're hitting on threes, right?
Yeah. True.
And your damage one attacks.
Yeah.
You do not clear a 20 man.
Okay. Well, then they don't have what it takes.
So the things I'm looking at are actually like smaller model cut armies. So I've been playing several reps of Lions of the Emperor Custodes, which I've loved.
Yeah.
That's been amazing. And I'm looking at Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights because I love knights, unlike you.
I like the models.
And then I'm just kind of like looking around at things that I like. But if I can't find something I feel very comfortable with that I've got enough reps in time, I will just default to Tide.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Noah, are you going to the store tonight?
Oh, no, I am not tonight. My wife is going out, so I am going to probably play on TTS tonight.
Oh, okay. I wanted to play you. We could play.
That would be cool, but not tonight.
Okay, fair. I keep asking Noah to play, and he will not make time for me. Just so everybody on the show hears this, I'm going to shame him publicly. We're a month in to me asking to play Noah on TTS or in person. Noah's life is crazy. I shouldn't be making fun of this. I'm sorry, Noah. I shouldn't be making fun of this.
All good.
I'm not actually upset. I
No
played
worries.
12 games of 40K in the past like 35 minutes. Like, I'm fine. Okay, we have one comment on Lions before we go.
My issue with Lions is 0 mortal wound protection other than Wardens and a lot. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the absolute truth. So the flip side though, it's like your random unit of 5 dudes just murders everything and both shooting and melee, which is cool. So I don't know. I agree with you, but it's still a pretty cool detachment.
Well, hopefully T-Suns get adjusted between now and then, which would also help with that problem.
For sure. All right.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh, he's calling. Someone has to be.
Oh, yeah, I'm calling someone has to be. He's Noah. Someone has to be Noah as well. Bye.
Bye.